Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the DreamWeavers Podcast. How are we all doing out there today?
Hey everybody, great to see you. Glad you're
And we
here.
have Deanna in the house with us
Woo.
today.
Hi
And
everyone.
today we are so excited to host the beautiful Julianne Thomas. Thank you so much for being here. I'm
Oh,
excited
Eddie.
to hear this story, girl. I'm so stoked.
Yes, yes.
Good doozy.
So we could start right at the beginning. Um
Yeah.
I know you have there's a boat involved.
Oh, yes. Well, not anymore. It's somewhere out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, but there was a boat.
Okay. Okay.
I'm kidding. It's gone,
Did
yeah.
you sink it?
Yeah, with the ex-husband on the equator. Yeah.
Wait, the
Not,
ex-husband
oh gosh,
sank with
love
it?
this
I'm just
story.
kidding. Yeah.
Okay.
Love this story already. Oh my gosh, let's
I was
go.
gonna say we're going in a whole different lane with this one.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. Well, we'd love to hear about it, and I know that our listeners will also. So,
Great. Yeah. So, where do you want me to start? Just kind of start?
So we were talking off camera before we started, and we were asking you what exactly it is you did, and you went into this beautiful story about a little bit before 2020, you had bought a boat. So what year was that you bought a boat?
2018.
There we go.
April of 2018. And well, let me jump a little bit ahead of that. I was in the wine and liquor industry. I sold wine to the top restaurants in Washington State. It was called a key account manager. And I was just feeling like, yeah, when you get that feeling like your soul needs more, or just like I can't sustain. It was a very high powered, both, and my husband at the time, he was like a very high up manager for a liquor company. So, a lot of going out, a lot of schmoozing and selling to top restaurants. And so, anyways, I, for the first time, went to go see a palm reader. The very first time I was kind of nervous. I'm like, oh, okay, what's this? And she said, and of course, this is all condensed. She said, you're going to go on a trip around across the world. And I'm like, I am? Okay, that sounds great. And so it went back to our normal life. And then within the year, I'm like, you buy a boat and I'll find the moorage and let's just go sailing, to my husband. And we just both were at our point where we needed something a little different. It was kind of a dream of his. And for me, my dad went sailing around the world. So I thought if my crazy dad could do it, I can do it. And not having really any sailing experience. Before that, I raised four kids in a small town and had a restaurant, Italian restaurant. So we bought a boat, and then I found the moorage, and within 4 months, we moved on it and left out on the open ocean for the first time in August of 2018. Yeah, so we sailed down the coast and all the way down from Anacortes, which is north of Seattle, down the coast of Oregon, California, and then crossed to Mexico and went down, spent about a year in Mexico. And, there's always the hurricane season that is in the back of your mind, where you're going to put your boat for hurricane season. Got to get around this point before. Um, and we went to Guatemala, and on the Mexican Guatemala border, I have a whole story there. We actually ended up in a detention center because we didn't think to bring our passports, and immigration detention center. And I was the only blonde woman there out of about 1,500 people and in a cell. Um,
wow.
and they had to like scratch out Honduras and put USA because they had never had a United States citizen there before. But um, so then we went to Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Costa Rica, and all those lovely um, what is it?
Coastal down the
Central
the
America.
West
Yeah.
Coast. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
side of the West
Yeah.
Coast. And you said you started in Anacortes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then we
Wow.
got to Panama.
How
We
long did
start,
that take you?
Well, we took, like I said, we were about a year in Mexico because Mexico is an amazing place. Just a lot of cruisers
Yeah.
just go there and stay there because it's inexpensive. It's very cruiser friendly.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
so
that.
we were there for about a year and just took our time really soaking up the Mexican, all the cities down the coast. Um, yeah, and then we got to Panama and we started hearing about this little thing called COVID, but we were so removed from it that in order to get into, and then we wanted to go to the Galapagos and then eventually to French Polynesia, which was our ultimate goal, our ultimate dream. But our idea was to circumnavigate the whole Pacific Ocean, kind of go down, up and around, after French Polynesia, New Zealand, Australia, and then Indonesia, Alaska, and back around.
Wow.
Yeah, so we sailed from Panama to Galapagos and crossed the equator and then showed up the exact day that the whole world shut down for COVID. Luckily, luckily we got a spot
Holy
there,
moly.
and at a safe anchorage, because the very next day new people came and they literally shoot them off into the ocean because the country shut down. Like Ecuador had very strong rules because it was so COVID was really traumatic in on Ecuador mainland.
Hmm.
So we sat there 60 days on our boat, five other boats. We were all from different countries. There was French, Australia, um, Netherlands, and Austria. And then also, what was the other one? Oh, us, US, US. And
That is so cool. It almost, so this kind of reminds me of a little bit of like Deanna, like we talk about the van life, RV life, like the
A little bit.
nomadic on wheels. This is just nomadic on water.
exactly, yeah. And a lot of people do it with children. I was like
I
amazed.
love this so much.
Yeah, yes. And so that we called it any given Galapagos Monday though, because we were literally there was a curfew. We couldn't leave our boat at Anchorage after 1 p.m. We only could go one at a time to shore to get provisions only. So, as you can imagine, you learn patience, just like everybody else had to during the whole COVID situation. But
Hmm.
not knowing there was no flights, all the countries closed down, so we had nowhere to go. We could have gone to the United States, but that would have been against currents and wind and 40 days, and then 2 weeks. They were doing a 2 week mandatory, what do you call it when you
Like
Like a quarantine on your boat,
quarantine.
quarantine.
Thank you.
isolation.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're like, God, that's 40 days, 2 weeks. So we just sat and we called it any given Galapagos Monday because every Monday we'd go to our agent and say, hey, okay, hey, can we move around yet? And he's like, well, check back next Monday. So that happened for, uh,
2 months.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, so we learned patience and acceptance and created a whole little family there within the five boats. And we swam and we did little baking contests and we tried to wait as long as we could for happy hour because, when you're just sitting on a boat, there's not much you can, I read every book on the boat, but it was actually, nobody feels sorry for you when you say you were in the Galapagos for COVID. So, I mean, there was
Yeah, but
there's amazing, beautiful thing. Positive aspects about it, but it was definitely a test in acceptance and patience.
Yeah.
hmm
I think
wow.
that was across the board, period. It didn't matter where you were.
Exactly. It was like
Yeah.
I find it amazing because it's the only time I think in our lifetimes where everybody was affected. I
Oh, yeah,
mean, entire global.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
I
and
agree.
so that actually being said, moving forward, to what I'm actually led to do, I believe, is that we all are connected. And I think globally, that was the first time we've actually experienced it, how everything, actually, every human being on this planet is connected. And I do see that as a lesson for us humans that, like, wow, if it affects one person, it really affects everybody. Mhm.
Really, yeah. I mean, the COVID epidemic or pandemic was just crushingly making it clear that we really need the unification more than the separation.
Exactly. And it's even become more and more highlighted now
I
with,
was going to say, and then fast forward 6 years to where we are, or 6.5 years now to
right.
where we are now. Ooh, child, do we need it more? Like, how are people? Golly, that's so cool that we're talking about this because, yeah, how are you not seeing that our power in numbers is how we're strong?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And it's actually, it's a painful process
Hmm?
when systems have to kind of break down in order to be rebuilt. And that's, I
Yes.
believe, what we're going through right now before we can bring in this new earth this new earth. Whereas we get rid of all the garbage, all the lies, all the BS, everyone's shadow work. It's all kind of coming out into the seeping out. And so as a light worker, I see myself as a light worker and we can touch on that later, but as a transformational coach now, sometimes your lightness can trigger other people's darkness. And that's kind
Yep.
of what happened to me in the dark night of the soul after I got back from sailing. Yeah.
Yeah, what a powerful experience to, be on this trip of a lifetime and then have something just stop it right in its tracks and really just make you think.
Yeah.
And we all went through some level of isolation in COVID. But what you were at is just like to the 10th, to the 10th power, whatever math thing you want to say.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
exponentially kind of
Yes.
isolated, right?
Yes, because you're thinking language, you're thinking, the barrier of everything. You're not in your own home. I mean, your boat was your home, but it's not your home.
Right.
Um, and having to get along with people from all different cultures and finding a way to do that, showing that unification that, a lot of people will build walls instead of open gates. So, what an experience.
Yeah, I wish for everybody on this planet could experience the absolute pure beauty of raw nature of being on the open ocean. Because there's nothing, even when you're in the woods, you can hear, you can hear, uh, sometimes you can hear traffic or, but out there, it's just this pristine beauty. And so as I learned, the ocean really kind of represents our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of ebbs and flows. What sometimes we wake up. How come we wake up some days and we're just like, oh my God, this is terrible. I look like crap today, and everything, and then the next day you're just like, oh, okay, this is awesome. And so our emotions ebb and flow, and I really learned that on the ocean, because some days just like it, sometimes there's a tidal wave and sometimes it's just calm. Um, and so in my teachings now, I use a lot of nature to teach about people's emotions, and also about, what air is our vision and earth is our grounding, and how we ground our passions and that type of thing. So my trip was really an impetus for what I hope to bring to the world and offer moving forward.
Wow.
Perfect. And what is
Wow.
it? So you said you're a transformational coach. And so what is it that you do? What do you offer?
That's a
Yeah.
good question. What do I do?
I
Um,
never know what I do either. I just,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I am writing a book about the whole experience because there's
Good for you.
yeah, and there's so many little life lessons that I would love to share, and it's hard to do in a podcast or even a conversation.
Of
Um,
course.
so that's going to be something that I work on. And I think as a transformational coach, like I was saying before we started, is like I don't even know it sometimes, but I think I was put here to it's a hard job. It's kind of to help the darker sides and the shadow work in most people. And sometimes my lightness can really trigger other people's shadow. They get jealous. They don't know, what they, envy, jealousy, and or I trigger something in them that needs healing. And so I have been, unfortunately, because of that, on the other end of it, attacked spiritually. And I didn't even really know what was going on when I was being attacked spiritually. I was just a mom for four kids, and I went sailing, and then I came back, and this whole spiritual experience happened after that. So that was like kind of like a dark night of the soul type experience, which I do think, in order for you to truly help people in need, to be able to resonate with pain and with things that have happened to you, really helps with compassion and understanding. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
always said
You
that,
can't get
yeah,
how good it is until you know how shitty it can be.
Exactly.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
know? I
And
yeah.
mean,
And
it's just
it's an allegory for what's going on. I mean, you have to personally break down. I tell people you got to break down into dust and rebuild yourself to really see not just your strength, but how bad it can get so that you can help make it better for others. And I mean, just like we were saying with the earth, with the world and things kind of falling apart right now, it's to
Mhm.
bring in the new earth. It's not to
it's making
just
space,
ruin us. Yep,
making space and
clearing out the
expanding,
gunk.
Right.
Yep.
making space and clearing to make space and
Yes.
expand. Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
Mother Earth is actually
Ooh,
a
she's so
live
evolving.
she's a live entity, and she's like us. She's just like, okay, enough bullshit. I got to cleanse this planet, and we're moving forward. And so once I realized that, I'm like, wow, this is a real living, breathing entity, and it all makes sense. She's like, I gotta get some volcanoes going here, and I gotta get some whirlwinds going here, and some fires here.
Why we're all on fire.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more water to come. I don't think we're done.
Yeah. I so I think
Is
what's
what it is.
important for people is to really tap into their faith of whatever that may be. I'm a firm believer that spirituality is an individual journey. I would never tell anybody what to believe, or and I think it'll be very important moving forward, for us to have some kind of knowing that there's a bigger picture going on, and some kind of faith involved in this transformation of Earth and of ourselves.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Do you find that you're seeing people, at least this is what I'm seeing, so um moving away from the organized religion and moving into a more spiritual mindset as we progress through these times?
Yeah, if you want my opinion,
Yeah.
I see, you hear that Christ's coming again and all this. Well, I believe that it's actually that Jesus is not coming down again. I believe it's Christ consciousness being born within all of us as a collective. Um, and that Christ consciousness, Buddha it embodied it. All these different ascended masters embodied that Christ consciousness. And then you've in organized religion, I believe there's a place for that, but unfortunately it has been kind of ruined by man, with power, money, and control.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that churches are great if they hang on, if they really are about healing,
Let go of
and
the greed.
yeah, and about healing, and in living that what Jesus came down to try to teach us is just embodiment of that oneness and that unconditional love and compassion also, but first of for self, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
having compassion for self and not being stuck in this um in uh the, the world oppression that we have been put under for so many years here.
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the Christ consciousness, like you said, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be Christian. It's
Right.
the embodiment of that inner source. It's Buddha, it's all the other prophets and saints whose names I apologize, I'm not thinking of right now.
Mhm.
To it's all been the same lesson in different words, in different languages, in different
Mhm.
cultures, but the lesson boils down to just love and
Just love.
love.
Yeah, I get, and love is really the only energy. It's like I heard that and I'm like, well, no, there's a lot of different energies, but there but ultimately, yes, love is what that embodiment is all about. And
Yeah.
I always say when you point a finger at somebody, you're pointing three fingers back at
Maybe back at
yourself.
you. Mm.
And it's like so hard to look at ourselves in the mirror and until we have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've always wondered the why
Absolutely.
to that, but we're not going to digress there.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, why is it
Yeah.
so well, yeah,
But
I guess it's
that's a whole nother
a whole nother
conversation you can
thing.
come back for, and you and I would love to have
That's a
that
good question. I'll
conversation.
think about that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
So you had
that's why I
said
said I
that
don't want to go there.
the light in you upsets the dark in others.
I learned that I never,
Yeah.
I yes, I've kind of come to that conclusion along the way. And God chose me, I guess, to be in that role, but like I people have never even met ended up spiritually attacking me. I had a death curse put on me, a debt curse and and I didn't even know about spirituality or my spiritual power or my spiritual abilities before this happened. I was just like, a mom and a restaurant owner and a sailor uh and so everything went dark for me for a while. I was in the mountains for 3 days, not knowing what the heck happened. And in my car, just like all these uh like pounding in my head and that went on for a long time until I went to like every special spiritual specialist I could find, priests and spiritual people who could see things more and apparently I had a death curse placed on me by somebody and I didn't even know who these people are and so that that whole thing is something I had to go through. I had to clear it. I had to have, for the last 5 years, I've been trying to get people to help me clear it and get these entities or whatever they were off of me and so as you can imagine, that was very trying.
Yeah.
And it's not something you can just tell your family either. You can't, I got pounding and they're like, the first thing they want to do is like, okay, do you have schizophrenia? Do you have this,
Hmm.
and you can't go around saying like, I need assistance, except you find the spiritual people who actually understand and know. And I had no idea. So that was kind of, and then I've learned about envy and jealousy and black magic. And when people talk about somebody in a negative way, it creates what's called like this just negative energy, and if it's directed at you, and especially if they use any kind of rituals or black magic or anything like that. Um, so I learned that actually that stuff's out there. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to manipulate energy, and I think it's the intent is always the important part of it. And you
Right.
can build up a real strong negative energy if
Yeah.
you have enough of that anger or that guilt or whatever it is,
Yeah.
jealousy, envy built up
Wait.
inside you, and that
Yeah.
just transmutes into a negative energy. And then it sends out at whoever you're directing it at.
Right. And there also is just people that do it for fun, just
Yep.
like pure evil.
So this happened how long after you came back? So you stopped sailing. So from the Galapagos, did you end up making it or did you just come on
We
back?
did at after about the 60 days, we're like, we can't wait anymore. So we took a chance and sailed 24 days across to French Polynesia because we're like, we're not doing this trip without at least making it to French Polynesia. And we weren't sure if they were going to let us in or not. And luckily they did let us in. So we were there for 5 months and it was amazing.
Okay.
So then let's see, we came back in 21 and
Okay.
and then so kind of,
So,
the later in that year is when all this started happening.
okay.
I was kind of I started getting so many notices from spirit. Like I thought I was following the divine. Uh, I'd walk out and the wind would circle around me, and then a raven would fly by, and herons were really integral in my messages, signs and synchronicities, I call them. And
Yeah.
so I just started following spirit, because I came back with no husband, no boat, no money, no job, no home, right?
So wait, did you leave your husband in the equator?
No, that was a joke.
Okay.
No, when you're on a boat for 3 years, and he was the right person to do that trip with, it was really amazing. So there was so many great things, but
Mhm.
also when you're on a boat for 3 years with somebody, again, all of the from childhood trauma and all that comes out, and there was just some things that he had not dealt with yet that I couldn't feel like I could
Mhm.
stay married. So I came
Totally.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
weren't
came.
willing to work through with.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. I mean, I did actually try when I gave back, but then it just showed up again. So, moving on. And
Right. Right. Okay.
and so then so I found myself just kind of like, and I tell you what, after a trip like that, it changes your priorities, it changes everything. I found it really hard to acclimate myself back into society.
Hmm.
I have 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids and grandkids, and so they were like my rock, and so it's not like I was just like completely without, and I was very, capable of getting a job and doing that again, but it was just like I didn't really know what hit me after that trip, the COVID, and then the divorce, and everything. It was just like, okay, I need some time to like just roam a little bit
Be
on my own, just be. And
That's
that's
that breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I went ended up going, just kind of found myself around other people that I apparently weren't so nice, and and then that happened. Yeah.
Sometimes I think that that negative energy and the people that carry it when you're at a vulnerable spot, so when you're breaking before you fully healed, it's like your light calls them
Yep,
to
yep,
you. And
yeah,
and it's
like
harder when you're
moths
not
to a
prepared.
flame.
right. It's like the
Yeah.
empath narcissist
Yep.
pattern. And
Yep.
I definitely had that, so I was married 25 years with 4 kids, and we're still really good friends. But I was kind of at my soul with, we owned restaurants, and he wanted to keep opening restaurants, more restaurants. We had 4, and I'm like, at some point, I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. We got married very young at 21 and had 4
Hmm.
beautiful kids together. So then I got remarried. That second husband is the one that I went sailing with. But
Oh,
yeah, it was that one. And then another one, I just kind of narcissistic tendencies started that was attracted to me, and so I had to learn the hard way, unfortunately. I guess
Yeah.
anybody in a narcissistic relationship probably has
it's a
to.
lesson.
It's a tough lesson. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
It's a
I hear
very
you.
tough lesson,
yeah.
and if you don't get
Mhm.
it the first time, it's like
It's coming back.
it's a
Mhm.
boomerang,
Yes, yes.
and
Yeah.
it hits each and every time.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm yeah. So anyway, I wanted to ask, so you said that right when you got back, that's when you started going through your dark night of the soul, and that's when you were kind of what what preempted your spiritual catalyst? So you went on this exotic journey, right?
Mhm.
You had all of these
Mhm.
amazing experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, figured out you can't deal with this anymore. And all right,
Yeah.
so now it's time for a start. Was it just like a slow progression for you? Was it like, was it almost like a snowball where you're just slowly just rolling it to gather more? Or I don't know, did you have like a moment where you woke up and were like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, actually, I
'Cause I feel like
I
I get a little bit of both. I'm just gonna speak for myself. I feel like I
yeah,
get a little bit of both. I feel like a snowball sometimes,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden
Then
I just wake
then
up and I'm like, oh, this is what it is. Okay.
oh, right. Yeah, I think I was. So this is really important for other people who are going through, when you just lived your 3D life and your family and jobs and stuff, and then all of a sudden you have some kind of spiritual experience. what happened to me was I was not grounded. I was following, oh, okay, now where do you want me to go, spirit? That's never a good place to be in, because there's a lot of spirits out there that are not the Holy Spirit, right? And so I ended up in Spokane, and it wasn't like I was still, fine and like, okay, well, a new chapter, just moving on. Now what, I had family over there, and I went to go help a cousin with a hip replacement, and I loved her, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I just might need a new area. And
Hmm.
but over there is when I kind of ran into, and then I started dating somebody, and then that's where I kind of started like sensing that where all those beautiful, lovely signs and synchronicities all of a sudden started turning dark, right? I had taps on my car constantly, and I saw a vision of the face of this guy that I met before I met him. So when I met him, I thought, oh my gosh, I already know you, but I had never seen him before in this lifetime. And long story short, it was part of, soul contract from previous
Hmm.
lifetimes. I again, this was all new to me. So I the last 5 years, basically all I've been doing is trying to figure out what happened to me, right?
Right,
Going to this,
right.
I had a 12-hour spiritual ceremony, and in the meantime, I've connected with my ancestors, and I've got this beautiful benevolent team of the light work, light around me, angels and ancestors, and they've been walking me through this whole process because they knew, what I was going to have to go through. So it's a soul contract with a karmic family, a karmic soulmate. And at the time, I didn't know that. I just thought, oh, I had a vision. And when I met him, it felt like I had known him forever. So that was a very, you know, uh, like a comfortable feeling, right?
Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
as longer that I was in a relationship, which is not very long, but kind of in and out, I was never really, my intuition started kicking in, like something doesn't feel quite right about this, right? So it was in and out, driving the 7 hours from Spokane to and my back to my home in Anacortes, in and out. And then finally it started. And then one time when I kind of called him on some things, and then that's when everything went really dark. And I ended up in the mountains alone for 3 days, and then all the signs and pounding in the head, and all the signs and synchronicities just were dark. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, what just happened? So that, as far as the snowball, and it was literally an event that actually all of a sudden it
Hmm.
started, all of a sudden it was just all my all the lightness went to dark, and I was there for a while trying to get out of it.
I
You know,
I
it's
understand.
a good
Trust me when I tell you, I
illustration.
understand.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we want to believe that just because something's on the other side of the veil, they're perfect and they know all the good things. But the honest truth is, if you're vulnerable, I explain to people, this is
Hmm.
why I don't like Ouija boards, because you
Yeah.
have the AM and the FM, and the AM is
Right.
lower and easier to access, and that's what you're going to get if you don't have the discernment to
Right.
reach higher. And we don't when we're first starting. I did all kinds of stuff when I first started with scary stuff happening and all that
Yeah.
because you don't know what you don't know until you're in the middle of it and realize you better learn fast. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I've seen that play out in people around me. I've seen that play out throughout my life in either myself or other people is you open up so much that you lose the discernment to know what you should and shouldn't be listening to.
Right.
And it's not that you're doing something wrong, it's just that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And conversations like this, I think, are really important because this is going on happening to other people. And they're afraid to talk to anybody about it
They
because,
probably, yeah,
you know,
because
it,
they feel crazy themselves. Because I know when I went through mine, well, I've gone through it a couple of times now, like, because I didn't get
yeah,
the lesson the first time, of course not.
it's funny how that happens,
Can't
huh?
be hard-headed, you know?
Yeah.
Spiritual 2x4 will
And
always get you.
dude, in the 3D world or in the Muggle world, as I like to call it, it's so easy to, I was so proud of being so hard-headed and so stubborn and so headstrong and so blah blah blah,
Yeah.
determined, all those beautiful adjectives, that a woman needs to get ahead.
Right. Right.
in a man's world.
Yeah.
And so then once you kind of start into this world and you just come into the different, and you get enlightened and you start to wake up. That hard-headedness and stubborn shit does not serve at all.
Mm-mm.
And
You're
Right.
right.
so anyway, that's my story. But yeah. So, well,
So what
golly,
happened
Deanna, I
on the
totally did it.
mountain?
You.
What, you forgot? You started talking and lost track of where you were?
I sure did, and that's not
I do
something
that
I
all the
usually do.
time.
That's so
No,
interesting.
actually, I have something I want to say about that. As an independent, strong-willed woman, it is it as you are as a, it's the hardest thing to ask to actually have to accept help and ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I know it's the universe, God's way of humbling us, one, but also getting us ready so we can receive. Because, I was a restaurant owner, a mother of four. I always like paid for everybody. I felt like my crew of 30 in the restaurant were my kids,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 it was give, 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 overgive. We as women a lot of women tend to overgive.
Most women
And
do.
yeah, and so I think that was a really good point that you hit on, though, because learning to be vulnerable and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable so other people can, it feels good to help people. We can't just be all the ones always helping and not receiving.
Right.
You can't
And
pour from an
that's,
empty cup.
yeah.
Right. And that was a
Yeah.
big lesson I had to learn. It was, I even did all of this on my own and just kind of like, it's me against the world. I know I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
tell anybody. I've got pounding in my head like every single day of every minute of every day for 4 years, and so I just kept dealing with it. I tried to talk to people, but then, they didn't understand. And so I just did it on my own. And I would really love for other people out there going through anything like that to actually feel comfortable enough, to reach out to get help. And now,
Absolutely.
yeah, and now there's more open communication about things like this than in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to know, after the mountain, what happened next on your journey?
Well, that was when I went into research mode.
Okay.
I
Mm.
just like, like I said, I spent every last dollar I had on spiritual, shaman this and spiritual advisor this, tarot reading. I do know how to read tarot. It's just reading energy. For
Mm-hmm.
a while, a lot of people see it as predicting the future, but really all it is helping you to read energy and learn lessons from, like, oh, I can
Yep.
actually change that because you know um
Yeah.
and yeah, for years, 3 years, that's all I did was like, okay, where can, and then also trying to stay afloat with all these curses, hexes, and black magic being pointed at me. um so in the meantime, I was trying to do workshops, and I was trying to do some public speaking. I was trying to get my life coaching business off the ground, and everything I tried to do just kind of brick wall in front of me.
Yep.
But what it did was it showed me my resilience and my determination to not give up, and then also it established my relationship with the divine more. I have a very
Beautiful.
good relationship with my ancestors and uh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
angels and the my divine team, which I call it. And so that's the benefit that came out of it. And ultimately we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I call it Earth School. And but we're also still here, and we've got loved ones, and we've got a life to still manage. Just finding
You're
that balance.
right.
Yeah.
Balancing the mundane and the magic
Yeah.
is a big deal. I mean, it you can't walk with both feet on any one side and get any sense of balance. And
Right.
people lose that. And I think a lot of people lose it into the mundane, but there's spiritual people
Mhm.
that are so planted in what they're seeing as spiritual that they're missing everything.
Yeah,
They're
right.
missing the right cues, they're missing the guides, they're missing the mundane things that, should be. I mean, we have to go through stuff. We have to learn things as humans, or else we wouldn't have come into this life.
Yeah, it's the little things that truly really matter, huh?
Yeah,
I was just say,
absolutely.
so ultimately, what was your lesson through all that? Have you figured it out yet?
Well, yes, that's going to be that's in my book that I'm writing. Ultimately,
Oh,
it is that we have, finding your truth within and not following out here. We
I
all
love
we all
that.
have our truth and we're all whole. And I always say, if you're if you're looking to fill a hole, you're not whole yet, right? And
Totally.
and
that's a good saying. If you're looking
Yeah.
to fill a hole, you're not whole yet.
yeah, and
That's really good.
I mean, you are whole, but you just don't know it yet, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And so everyone out looking for their next date or, or they're, looking, searching, when you realize once you become magnetic and you're so happy with yourself that that's just going to come, right?
Yep. That's
And
manifestation, is letting go of the sense of control.
yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
so that's the biggest lesson I learned is going within. The name of my book is called Siren, and
Love it.
it's because it's really fun. It integrates the beauty and of the sailing trip, but also the siren within, because sirens were known to make sailors crash against the rock if they listened, to
Mm-hmm.
their
Hmm.
call. But the same thing kind of happened to me. It's like listening to what I thought was my call without going from within. And yeah, so that's the biggest lesson I learned.
So, what does the future look like for you?
Well, my dream would be to get my book done. I also want to do a series because you can't put it all in one book, I feel.
Agreed. Agreed. You have a lot to, you have a big story to tell.
Yeah. And so, write a book and then speak about it. And I'd love to travel around in bookstores and just help people and do some public speaking and storytelling. Storytelling is super fun for me.
Hmm.
And maybe even a movie because my story is so it's so prime for
Esque.
a movie.
Yeah, I can see it. Who would play you? Who would you get to play you? Just for kicks and
Oh,
That's a
giggles.
that's
good
a good
question.
question. Oh, I don't know. Do you guys have any suggestions? Who do I remind you of?
Kate Hudson,
She'd be good. Yeah, that would be good.
Kate Blanchett. I don't know. What do you think, Ronnie? Are you up to date with
I
any
don't
of the
know that
modern
she,
people?
not really.
Me neither.
Yeah,
That's a true
I
story, not
know.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was
I'm like
thinking,
Doris Day.
I don't even know if she's still an actress or if she's still acting anymore, but you know who came to me because she's a little woo-woo and a little out there, and I think she could really nail your part, would be
Uh-huh.
more somebody, just in my opinion, off the top of my head without overthinking this,
Yeah.
Ashley Judd.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
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 Just because she is a little more different, she is a little more spiritual.
Mhm.
I feel like she could kind of embrace that from just a tiny, and I'm talking like I know this woman. I don't, but I've seen a handful of interviews because I just think she's fabulous, or I used to kind of follow her back in the day.
Yeah.
If there was a follow thing back then.
So now,
Um,
see, we've cast your movie for you. So
yeah,
now
there you
it's
Awesome.
been
go.
put out there
I know
into
yeah.
the
But
ether
somebody
for.
who already
Oh,
has a little bit of spiritual
Hmm.
something
yeah.
going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell me this. All right, darling, tell all the people, how do you help them?
Mhm.
They seek you out and they come to you when they need or they want or
Yeah. I think, I feel like if I just had a weekend with a person that that through my intuition, I can just tell what's not being said, right? I can tell. That's probably one of my strongest traits is like nobody can lie around me. I'm sorry. It's like that's why I got in trouble, with the dark because it's like you can't lie around me. I just know.
Hmm.
And it's not like I know it. I'm not saying I know everything. I just know when you're not telling the truth, right?
mm-hmm.
Um,
I have a bullshit meter.
Yeah. And so when I coach people, it, for me, it's like, I'll be like, well, I kind of, what do you got kind of hanging over your shoulder right there, you know? And it's all about asking questions and because I do see everybody as whole, capable, resourceful, and creative, right? And I don't give advice. I just ask the right questions and bring it out of them. And so it's fun to see those aha moments. Like they don't even
Hmm.
recognize that they've been doing that their whole life, or they don't even recognize that they've been hiding that their whole life, or they, you know, so I really what I would really love to do is get a boat or charter a boat. And if when people who are really in the midst of the shits, you know, hey, come on the boat for a few days and let's just redo this, you know.
Wow, that sounds so interesting.
And
Golly, what a concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Deanna.
Mm-hmm.
and
I
it
love
just
that.
goes, I think the ocean is such a huge, you know, they're gonna cry and everything's gonna come out, but then they'll come back a different person.
Mm-hmm. Well, salt water,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
healing.
So,
Love
so
that.
cleaning.
I
But
love
I'm
that.
right now, I'm at like Phoenix. I'm like the ashes in the ashtray, you know, the Phoenix rising. I'm starting
Hmm.
with, in the ashes and just
Yep.
kind of keeping my way out. But
Yep.
I'm excited and it's like a blank canvas, you know, what do I want to paint on it? Let's just start.
I
And if
love
you
that.
start and you screw up, then paint over and start again, right?
I 100%
Absolutely.
agree.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Parting words for our audience. If you wanted to tell them anything, like what is some of your biggest tips that you give people, or what do you think our audience needs to hear today?
I would say don't sweat the petty stuff. You know, I always say you're not gonna, you don't want on your tombstone to say she kept a clean house, right? Who
True.
fucking cares?
Mine won't.
You know, it's nice to keep a clean house, but don't let them. I'm just don't sweat the petty stuff because we're all taking life way too seriously.
Hmm.
I'm right there with y'all too, and so I've decided like we need to have more fun, more joy, more faith, and more love, and stop taking this life so seriously.
I love that. That
Yeah.
is a beautiful message for us to end on.
Yeah.
How do
Thank
people get in
you.
touch with you, Miss Julianne?
I can leave an email address and my phone number and
Perfect.
or LinkedIn. I don't know. I'll leave something with you and we can
All right. What
broadcast
is your
that out.
email?
It's my Julianne, and Julianne is spelled Julianne. So my Julianne.jt for Julianne Thomas at gmail.com.
Perfect.
Perfect. Uh,
myjulianne.jt@gmail.com. We'll
Yes.
have that in the show notes.
absolutely,
Awesome.
we will.
So,
I want to thank you so
thank
much for
you.
being here, girl.
Yes,
Like you were yeah,
this is
you were such
inspiring.
a neat one. Yeah, that's the
Yeah, very
word. Yes,
inspiring.
Deanna.
And I see a lot of parallels and I love it. So,
Mm-hmm.
Thank
so
you
Mm-hmm.
both.
I would like to say thank you, Julianne, for coming. Thank you to everybody out there in the interwebs who is listening to us. Please remember, like, share, comment, subscribe. We like to hear what you have to say. If you're out there and you have something cool that you want to talk about, reach out to us. We check, we listen, we respond, and we love having people come on and tell your story. So, with that, remember, be blessed, and remember that you're loved. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.